All right, guys. I've been looking forward to this one. This has been on my calendar for a minute. Um, Instantly became friends with Riz. He's going to go ahead and introduce himself in a second, but we're back here with Next in Line. Our mission stays the same. We're all about paying it forward. We have the community of people that are dying to listen to different perspectives. We're going to talk about lessons learned. We're going to talk about what help us, help him get here, and just in general, and just an overview on like where tech is going in the future. Like I'd like to hear maybe some of your big bets, what you think is going to happen, and just overall, man, I would love this community to get to know you as much as I have, and I think they're going to be fired up to listen to this one, man. So Riz, man, feel free. No one's going to be introduce yourself better than you. You're like a DJ voice and everything. So you're good to go.
No, Cesar, thanks. Thanks for having me, man. It's awesome to be here. So yeah, just quick thing about me is Rizwan Jan. I'm the Chief Information Officer at the CNA Corporation. What our company does is we're in the national security space. 84 years. Our staff is, research analysts, PhDs. I think over 80% of our company's PhDs, scientists, mathematicians, geologists, so those types of people that do national security work. 2/3 of our business is helping the Navy, be more resilient on the battlefield and make sure our men and women here in the homeland and around the world are safe. And then the other third of the business that we do is, with Department of Health, Department of Homeland Security, FAA, FEMA, and even like the local police department doing like body camera analysis, that type of work. So it's all local, state, and federal level. Been here for about 3 years. And then prior to that was the CIO at HJF. They were in the space of military research, medical research for the military. And then obviously I'm not going to go through my entire career here, but prior to that was at Booz Allen, just running their commercial side of the incident response. So been in the cyber and tech space, about 25 years now, and kind of stumbled my way up the career ladder.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's just
look too young to be in business for 25 years, man.
Man, yeah.
I'll tell you, man. I'm happy to hear you're helping the shipmates out. Me being a former Navy veteran, and actually producer of the show, he was a Navy veteran too. So nothing but love, and thanks for looking out for our shipmates, because we never stop being shipmates. Once you're in the military and the Navy, that never changes.
No, I to you too before, thank you for your service. And, without you guys, I wouldn't be here, right? This is a land of opportunity. You guys give us this freedom to do this and try to pay it forward, the best I can to do my part.
Love it, man. So one thing I took note real quick is I have to ask you. So you said 80% of the work, the people that make up your organization are PhDs. You're talking research analysts. You're talking like high end. So you're working alongside a bunch of damn geniuses all day.
Yeah, and it's intimidating, right? Because they will push you and they will question you. So the biggest thing I learned when I came into CNA is whatever you're doing, Riz, you better answer the question of why, because these guys will always ask you why this, why that. So, but they're brilliant minds, and you couldn't be filled with more gratitude to be surrounded with that type of talent, right? Because my mindset is continue to learn and grow, and you want to be in the room with the smartest people on the planet. And I think I am, just so you could learn. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So definitely, filled with gratitude to be here with these guys.
That's an excellent perspective, man. I'm glad you said that too, man, because sometimes it could be perceived as, highly competitive, intimidating, like you mentioned. So how important is it for you to realize, like, you know what, I'm going to be working with all these folks, right? How do you stay ahead of that? Like, let's say, how do you not be intimidated?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all have insecurities, right? Trust me, I have imposter syndrome. You sit in the room here in meetings, and people went to Harvard, Yale, Georgetown, and here I am. Went to Frostburg State University, and like looking around, like, man. But I guess my answer to that question is just be prepared, right? And you better read up on the notes or whatever the meeting topic is. Just get ready for it, and don't go in there to wing things, because people will sniff that out, and then there goes your integrity and out the window. So just be informed and go in there and try not to bullshit people. And if you don't know the answer, just tell them, listen, I don't know the answer. Let me go find out or research it. I'll come back to you. But again, Just put your big boy pants on and
Be
just
humble.
learn and grow, man. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love everything you mentioned. Like, if you take that type of approach, you're kind of forced in that type of approach, right? Because of the nature of the environment, right? But what I love about it is that if people carry that type of mindset, you're going to be on a fast track,
Yeah.
right? Like, you can't wing it. You're going to be prepared at every single meeting, no matter what, your surroundings. And so you have to be game day ready every single time, right? And it's
Every
got to be
time,
like,
man. Yeah.
and it's perfectly fine with saying, I don't know. It's perfectly fine. I think people respect you if you're honest about things, but you can go figure it out, or we can get the resources or even partner with them. So I'm happy to hear you say that, because sometimes, let's say somebody entering in our field, right? They got whatever master's degrees that come out of school. There's a perception that you should know everything. You can't. This field moves really fast, right? And what would advice on something like that would you give somebody like entering the workforce that's just got their computer science degree, got a master's and all this stuff, ready to take on the world? What kind of advice would you give them?
I think, and I should have told this to myself when I was first getting in this industry too, is patience, right? Technology and cyber, all this stuff moves rapid, fast, right? Like look at AI, and then every 6 months, something else is coming out, or even less than 6 months, something new is coming out.
Oh, yeah.
You had blockchain, and then then you had the crypto stuff. Now you have AI. Now we'll probably get into this later, but quantum computing is on the horizon. So, but with that said, just be patient, because at the end of the day, man, this is a marathon, not a sprint, and patience is going to get you everywhere. Meaning, learn about your surroundings, learn about the people, learn about the processes, learn about the organization, learn about your competitors, learn about your boss, and that all that stuff takes time. And if you're trying to rush to try to make an impact, or force feed something from your own agenda, you're going to fail, right? You're going to fall on your face. You're going to lose the trust. And it takes time to communicate with people, build that trust, build the relationships. And once you have that, you're off to the races and you're on the glide path. So I would say patience is 100%, man.
I like that. So if you had to list, let's say 3 things that you don't get in the textbook during the degrees, what would you be? I know patience got to be the top one, right?
Patience, one. I would say the other thing is communication, right? Communicate. It's always the soft skills about that. I mean, I always push this down to my team too. If you can't just have a conversation with people at like a human level, right? Just take the tech jargon out of your mouth and just have a conversation. I think that would go well. And then be a sponge. You're never going to know all of it. So continue to learn, patience, communicate, and learn. I mean, that's what life is about. I'm creeping over here towards 50 here, and I'm still learning every day, even from my younger staff. That's my interns that are now full-time employees with me, and I'm learning from them, because they're, at the end of the day, I mean, the new generation, the young generation, these guys are technology savvy, right?
Coming out the gate.
Yeah. And you know how it was when we were growing up. I mean, technology was really not a thing. We were outside playing, in the neighborhood, right? But these guys, they got social media, they got this app for something, that app for something. So they're on the cutting edge of everything. So
that's true.
They're not shy to speak up, right? So you're learning from all sorts of people, all different backgrounds, and it's very important.
I like that too, because that's really good. Like, from a leadership perspective, that's good to make sure that you let them know that too, because I don't think that's said enough. It's not spoken enough, and I think that's a good one, man. So be patient, communicate, never enough, right? And continuous learning. I mean, that's something that I wish I would have did, a lot sooner in my career. I was just more, how you grow up. I'm had to like force feed, like the grinding would be enough. And grinding there's always going to be the base for me. But when you started putting some science behind it, started really kind of learning a little bit more and don't stop, that's where I felt like my career just started moving up a little bit. I found myself in different rooms just by learning more. So it's just not enough to grind. I like what you said there. I definitely want to come back to you on this quantum computing later.
Yeah.
Because I want you to break it down for like everybody here. Let's say break the 101 version, like you explain it to like a 5th grader, right?
Yeah.
Because now it's like, AI, now we got Gen AI to agentic. Now it's like, okay, quantum. All right, like help me understand that. We'll come to that because I want I want to go back a little about memory lane.
Sure.
About my friend here, Riz. So where'd you grow up?
Grew up in New York, man. Westchester County, near Shell. So probably like 20 minutes outside the city.
That's right.
Yeah. Yep. You rock.
Yankee Mets, I hope.
Unfortunately, man, I'm sad these days. I'm a Yanks fan. This guy's got bounced from the playoffs the other day. Just another brutal series.
Really tough to watch.
Yeah.
Really tough to watch. But Judge is a stud, and Chaz is fun to watch.
Yeah.
You know, he was here. I'm from Miami, so he was here with the Marlins, but wow, that kid has a confidence about him and does not care.
You could say, I mean, if anything, he needs a little bit more discipline because he does not care, man.
He does not. And we had the opportunity to meet him, and he talked to our boys about, like, you know, one thing that we did love about what he said was having in this game is so much failure. Like, you just got to know that you're the best, and you can't care about failure, period. You just move on.
Yeah.
And that's a good segue, because I want to talk to you about that, about failure. It was so, like, at least when I was coming up, it was like, I was always told, don't mess up, or don't F up. Don't do this. Don't do this. Like, you can't make mistakes. So you have this fearness of, like, you can't mess up.
Yeah.
It's changed now a bit, right?
Yeah, you gotta fail. I mean, if you have zero failures in your life, you have not learned shit about anything, right? So
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right there.
I mean, you gotta be able to fail fast, recover quickly, you know, and learn something from it. I mean, listen, one of my biggest failures was a couple of organizations ago. I lost 10 years worth of data, right? And that was from not planning properly. I didn't have a good disaster recovery plan in place. I assumed that I did, right? Didn't test my recovery stuff and ended up losing 10 years of data, and then had to like really stitch stuff back together just to get at least 50% back to where it was. And that took probably like 6 to 10 months to get that stuff done. So, but yeah, failure, it happens. I mean, it happens. I mean, that's a big failure, but you'll have some other failures too. Like if, I take this as like micro failures. If your boss asks you, hey, what do you think? You know, what's your recommendation? And you provide that recommendation, like, okay, thank you. We're going to go in a different direction. Right. You're like, oh man, you didn't take my advice. But at the end of the day, I mean, that may be a failure, but it's more of, you gave them information to allow them to make an informed decision, right? So just keep it moving, right? You fall in line and continue to support your leadership and keep moving forward. But you're gonna have failures, man. Just learn from it and make yourself better, make yourself as a better person, a better leader, you know,
I love that.
Better friend to anybody, you know.
Absolutely. In every aspect of your life, you know, not just work, you know, we're both married individuals, right? So it's not autopilot. We make a lot of mistakes.
My wife tells me that every day, man, Cesar. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a healthy relationship. That's what I talk about.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And I love how you open it up, though. When I asked you that question, you said, if you haven't failed your life, I mean, you're really not learning shit.
Yeah.
Period. Right.
Period.
It is true. Like, if this concern, that means you're not either trying hard enough or you're living way too comfortable. And how are you going to move the ball forward in anything? Yeah. You know, it's not going to happen. Right. I love that, man. Thank you for sharing that, brother. I like what you said about recovering quickly. Mayweather says this all the time. Like, you know, even though he was not my favorite fighter, but I respect the game. Right. He just said he was the best at making adjustments in the fight. You know, so you failed and you figure things out, but you got to be really good at making adjustments. That stuck with me. I've looked at that as in business, right? Things don't work all the time. We fail a lot. We fail more than we succeed most of the time, especially in business development. But it's about the adjustments, and you got to figure out what works, right? So, and you got to be okay. It's not really failure. Just like, you know, okay, now I know I'm not going trying that one. I got to try this one for this person, right? So, couldn't agree with you more. But how do you create an environment where they're not scared to fail?
It's got to be open and honest, right? I see a lot of leaders in the space and even subordinates in the space that they try to bullshit or make it more soft, right? They're not direct. They kind of hide behind their messaging. Yeah, too soft. I just say, just get to the point, man. You'd rather just quote unquote stab somebody in the face versus stabbing them in the back, right? So just tell people where they stand and they'll respect you a lot more for it. And that's it. So meaning that it's an open, transparent, and honest environment where you could you're approachable. I mean, yeah, you always should always have some sort of compassion in you, but just get your message across, right? And at the end of the day, be humble as well, right? Yeah, you're a leader. I tell, again, my staff, and I've said this even to myself as a reminder, is be a good person. Like when you're walking into a building and you see a janitor and they're struggling, if their bucket of water spills, like stop and ask them, do you need help to help you clean this stuff up? I mean, because they're all human, right? We all have families and friends, and that's the compassion thing to do. So just because you're carrying some sort of big title, you shouldn't be treating them any different than you should be treating the janitor. Everyone has a role, right? And everyone has a heart.
Absolutely.
That's if you treat people well like that, Cesar, this is where, the open and honest environment and trusting environment and a compassionate environment will start to, to expand out and mature, and people will have fun in that environment too. And people will follow, if you leave an organization or whatever, people will follow. And that's what it's about, is making an impact and trying to get other people around you better, and then making yourself better as well.
I love all that, man. I like that you said you also simplified it too. Like, be a good person. Start there.
Yeah.
Right. Let's just keep it simple. Like if you die, if you're a good person, you'll be straight with people. It's hard too. Like it's easier said than done, right? Because everybody wants to be liked, right? And for me, my challenge sometimes, where I grew up, it could be a little real direct. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I got to work on sometimes my soft skills. But however, I just know I guess there's a right balance of it, right? You got to have.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you have to just again, like, yeah, to your point, balance is everything, right? I mean, be empathetic, but also go about your business and what's best for the organization and best for the leadership. Yeah. And that's what gets you anywhere.
Let me ask you this. After school, right? What was your first IT job? Like straight up, like your first very IT job?
My first one was Compaq at the time. This was years ago. Right. I mean, remember Compaq?
Yeah.
HP bought them out.
We're in the same range, brother, so we know Compaq.
Yeah. They this was my early days from New York. We had moved down to the Maryland area, and the motor vehicle department was doing this big project to overhaul their licensing system.
Okay.
And I was always into art, by the way. I loved art, loved architecture. And so my dad was like, hey, man, your finger painting sucked. Don't go into art. So I got my finance degree, got out. But anyway, HP came up calling because, I didn't want to do any of it. I got my finance degree. I didn't want to do finance. I got out of college. And then I pivoted over to IT. So Compaq called me at that time, like, hey, come in here and help us stand up this entire help desk for the motor vehicle department, because we're going to overhaul these licensing stuff. And started at 22 years old, 21 years old. I built out this entire help desk process for the state of Maryland. And then my art kind of started to come up again too, because I helped them design, their licensing structure. They had the big little crab on the Maryland license, so I helped them like place that. And that was my cool first gig. Yeah. And
that's a pretty big job for a first gig. I was talking like I was running cables under the desk. And
no, that
was something like that.
Yeah. And that's where it kind of got my leadership chops kind of going, because you know what they did? They actually, and this is what I try to do with my team too, is they empowered me. They trusted me implicitly. And I'm like, holy crap, man, I don't know.
Must have been a draft pick, brother.
Yeah. And I'm making things up. I'm like, all right. Yeah. Like, let's build out a process. This is, I guess, how I'm going to answer a phone if there's a problem ticket. This is how I'm going to enter this stuff. So it was complete empowerment, and that was awesome, right? And then 2 years later, they end up laying me off because HP bought out Compaq, and they just didn't need me. But that was a phenomenal experience. I tell people, if you're getting into IT, just start at the help desk or service desk, because that's when you learn every single problem, right? From networking to endpoints to firewalls, right, to security. And then you understand the business as well, because that's important of what the business needs are.
I was expecting a totally different answer. Like you had like probably the baddest ass first IT job ever.
Dude, this is what I'm telling you, man. I stumbled up the career ladder. Like I've been very blessed and lucky, because people have given me chances where,
Yeah.
I was not
But let's
equipped
talk about
to
that.
have that opportunity. Yeah.
But you got to have some game though, in order to be able to do that. So you're an excellent communicator. So you probably, I'm telling you right now that you probably, they saw a draft pick, they scouted something, or you must have done something in an interview, because that's just like, it's not normal to kind of get that job right away. Right. These kids are struggling today. Like, and they got,
it's rough out there,
heavy
man.
degree with experience, and they can't even get the door. But that unbelievable experience. And I couldn't agree with you more on the help desk. And I think that's overlooked. And I look at it as the front door of your IT organization. Like you have to, that's got to be tight. That's got to be, and you do learn. I think everybody should spend some time of duty. Like in the military, it's called temporary, TAD, was it temporary assigned duty?
Yeah.
Put some TAD to everybody. I don't care if you're a developer, PM, whatever. Go spend a month in the help desk. Go learn everything.
100%. It's your curb appeal, right? It's everything. That is your touch point. You want to talk about change and cultural change. I mean, it starts at the help desk, and you better be on your game, because that's when you get, your tough customers, but it's also, it helps you get thick skin, but you're learning everything, you're learning
Absolutely.
about the people, how to communicate and how to deliver technology, and then how to also start learning how to change culture, because you're trying to change people's minds of when they're cursing you out at the help desk because they're frustrated, and then you're like, hey, calm down. Yeah. This is why we're doing certain things. This is why you need to do certain things. And we're trying to solve this problem. So you start trying to change people's behaviors as well. So that's a great place to start, and to your point, it is rough out there, but if people are coming out there with, their master's in engineering or computer science, and they want to be up here as an architect, just humble yourself and get into the help desk, and then see how that is going to be like, because
great advice.
You're going to get the shit beat out of you at that job, but man, you're going to be a better person for it.
And you know what? Like, I couldn't agree with you more. I think this, you want to, I get it. Look, everybody wants a fast track, but like you got to get in the door, and you get in the door, they figure out what kind of skills you got. You get tapped on the shoulder pretty quick. Right. So I couldn't agree with that more. Like, they got to come down a little bit. Maybe, in adversity, I always feel there's opportunity, right? Is a silver lining somewhere. And maybe it's kind of correcting the market a little bit there, because some of these guys or people coming into the workforce, they expect to skip levels coming in the door. I want to work from home. I have like these demands, right? That's probably shifting a little bit. Like, let's come down. Let's focus on the opportunity versus the title, and let's get in the door. Let me have a bigger picture. Do I make six figures in my first salary? I know I certainly didn't.
No.
Right?
Yeah. No way.
You probably made more money than me because you were a help desk architect in your first job.
Yeah. But
it was, you earned your way up. And I think if they come with that mentality, I think they will see more opportunity than anything else.
Cesar's, at the end of the day, man, it's, to your point, get your foot in the door. It's all who you know. It's not what you know. Ooh, right? Because people will give you opportunities and you take it, right? But if you are like, again, I'm not throwing stones at people that are very highly educated. I mean, trust me, like I'm surrounded by PhDs, but PhDs, masters, and to your point, it's really rough out there, and you're sitting on your high horse saying, hey, I want this director position. Just humble yourself and get in the door to build those relationships where then people learn about you, know what you're capable of doing. And then, you'll have that shot at that director title, whatever it is. Right. And that's back to my earlier point, is got to be patient and start somewhere, right? Just get in the door. That's the win. That's a win, right? You're in the party. So now you're there. Yeah.
Sports guys. So like, get on base.
That's it.
Get on base. I don't care. Just get on base. It all works out. It'll work out. And I couldn't agree with you more. I even tell people, like, let's skip a chapter real quick. Even CIOs. I get this a lot. And it's unfortunate because the life tenure of a CIO is shorter than a lot of roles. I think it's like 3.5 year average.
Yep.
Right. So what happens, I see it when they come to me and they say, look, I'm in transition, right? I need an opportunity. I always ask, like, one, do you have a soft landing, or, how flexible you are, like, because these jobs are transient, right? And they don't pop off a lot either. So, and it's very subjective to hire this person, and usually you kind of hire somebody, so like immediate flexibility, focus on the opportunity. Maybe you don't start as a CIO, but maybe you advisory, or maybe you get in the door. It's just having that patience and flexibility will help you at every single level, if you're entering or you're already at that level at the top. So that's something that, I always try to advise, CIOs or any type of C-suite type of, person that's trying to, like, is going through some adversity or just needs to get another opportunity. So how do you feel about something like that?
I mean, you're spot on. I mean, these C-suite gigs, CIOs being in tech, or even a CISO, I mean, they're high burnout, right? You burn out fast is because you're not just delivering technology, you're dealing with your internal customers. You're trying to grow the business from, a business development perspective. Then you're getting audited by your regulatory bodies. Then you're trying to, keep the lights on, but then you're trying to innovate at the same time to deliver value. And then you're trying to balance your budget because, technology costs a lot of things. And then your peers, your other C-suites, like your CFO or chief people officer, they want something from you. Your CEO wants a strategic plan from you. So that noise is coming from all ends, right? And then you're coming home and you're getting yelled at by your significant other because you're glued to your phone, right? You're working 16, 17 hours and you're not paying attention at home, right? So,
right.
It's a brutal position to be in. So, I mean, I guess back to your point is like, be careful what you wish for, because you do get burned out. I mean, your shelf life is 3.5 years. It's either you burn out and you leave on your own, or you get fired, or, the organization is going to pivot elsewhere because for some reason you can't push out like technology adoption, right? So it's, you're change agent, you're a cultural change agent as well, because you're trying to change human minds to do something different. So, yeah, man, it's rough, but again, to your point, man, just, you don't always have to jump into the C-suite position. Learn about everything else before you start pointing fingers upwards saying, you know what, I could do that job. They don't know what they're talking about, because when you're in the seat, it's a whole different perspective, man. And you're gonna understand why
anybody could be a Monday morning coach, right?
Yeah.
It's not easy, man. It's not easy.
Yep.
But you're right. You just mentioned something that's really interesting. The CIO in general, like, you're in every aspect of the business, period. Right? The CHRO, let's say a CHRO is like an HR, and the people, right? And they're everywhere. But like, I feel like the CIO is a critical part of each and every single business unit, period.
Done. And let's put technology aside, right? Let's focus on processes, because when you're trying to roll out technology to the other parts of the business, right? Let's say you're rolling out a procurement system. You better sit down with, the VP of procurement, director of procurement, whoever that person is, to understand how they work, what processes they have before you start rolling out technology. So to your point, you're in every single part of the business. HR, yeah, guess what? We got to learn the HRS system. How do you work? How do you guys recruit? What's your benefit structure like that? Who's your outside vendor? Do we need to integrate something like that? To the CFO, right? Your accounts payable, payroll. Is everyone getting paid on time? Let's figure out that process before we roll something out. So that's what I mean. Like, a high burnout rate is just because you're not just talking about, hey, let's roll out Microsoft Suite with people can access email, but you're delivering for the business of making them more efficient. Because if you're not driving revenue, cash, then that's not transformation, right? You're, at the end of the day, you're just playing with technology. So what are you doing for the business to make them more efficient, more resilient? And that's all on the CIO in a lot of ways, right? Because
absolutely,
every company right these days is a technology company. Everyone's using technology, but how are you
Agreed.
using it at the most efficient way possible to beat out your competitors, the cheapest way possible,
Mm-hmm.
and at
That's right.
and are you rolling out the best in breed technology? Because at the end of the day, behind the technology is people. So you better be able to recruit really bright, smart people
That's
to
right.
support that tech, right? And Cesar, I've been blessed, right? I was able to pluck people from AWS,
No,
from Booz Allens of the world to the Veronuses of the world, and these are heavy hitters, and it goes back to our earlier point of building a nice, open, trusting culture where people may take a cut and pay to jump on your bandwagon,
I
right?
like it.
And the smart people are following you to push that technology out to help with the processes. I mean that's what it's about.
That's awesome. I mean, that's great advice. And also, like, what I like about that you mentioned is, you know, if they're willing to take, let's say a concession on money, because usually that's like everybody's thing, right? I need to
Yeah,
make more. It says a lot. It says a lot about, the environment, the culture, and what you're doing, right? So how do you, I guess you have to be part, I guess that's where your business development skills come in, right?
yeah,
So what's your recruiting approach? It's not like, this is probably more of a strategic approach you take and going for draft picks or knowing people that you
yeah.
can try to go after. Like, what is your like strategy to bring in the right talent?
Mine is crazy. So we'll never look at resumes. If I do, it's very 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 high level. I just want to I look at a resume to get all right. Where do they live? What's their name?
Yeah,
And right, like that's it. But I'm in the mindset of I don't give a shit what school you went to, what your GPA was. I don't care. My mindset is I could train anybody, but what I look for is heart, right? Are you a good person? Are you going to do what's best, not just for me, but for your teammate? If they're struggling and your teammates, having some issues at home, will you come in there and cover for them? Right. Like that's what I mean by heart is just be a decent human being, meaning like, even if you don't know something, just come in like, Riz, I don't know this. Can you send me the training? I want to learn about it. Right. That is heart. Cause at the end of the
absolutely.
day, right, the heart will drive the mind and then you could train the mind. So that's like my recruiting ways. Right. And I will always meet with people, even from the, the help desk, service desk level individually.
Absolutely.
Right. And I'll take them out to lunch and say, all right, talk to me, man. Like, where'd you grow up? Let's have a
Make
human
you comfortable. That's it.
conversation. Yeah, that's it. And it's the conversations. It's not an interview. And I'll usually pick that up from I'm not really good with my IQ, but my EQ skills are good, right? Where I could probably pick out like good people where you want to be surrounded with good people, man. And they're
That's
just
your
going to
point. To
grind
train.
and work. And that's how I pick talent. And I've been lucky because I'm only as good as the people around me, right? They make me look good. And if I
Absolutely.
have crappy people around me, meaning the hearts, then guess what? It's stressful and then I'll look like shit too, right? So I'm standing on my team's shoulders, right? Because they make me look phenomenal because they're such smart people, Cesar. I mean, and again, just been blessed and just filled with gratitude that I've been able to, you know, be around these people
Yeah, man.
because again, I'm learning from them and they have the best interests for the organization, me and the leadership. So it's been a
I love that.
phenomenal journey, man.
So intangibles first, right?
It's
You
it.
look for intangibles first because, right. I mean, so this business changes so fast. I mean, you need to be willing to learn, right? Because every, 18 months, or now with AI, I feel like it's every other month.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
flying, brother. It's like, it's out of control. I love that though, man. You keep it real. Let me ask you, on a short version of this, let's say, because it's hard to have a room full of everybody's an A player, right? It's really, really, really difficult. Where do you draw the line? Like, okay, man, you have to have those tough conversations where, you have to part ways.
That stuff is that always sucks, right? But
Yeah.
I
Never
mean,
fun.
never fun. And I just did that a couple of weeks ago too, and it seems like it's always happening. But you take the good with the bad. And, but again, even the people that you have to depart from, you have to be compassionate with that situation as well. And it's never, man, it's never personal. It never is, right? I mean, we're all human, right? We may dislike people. Like, listen, currently right now, some of my A players on my team, I don't like, right? But, let's be real, right? Right. But it's never personal, because again, you're never going to get along with everybody. You're never going to like everybody, but you got to be able to have the team dynamic of just the big engine that we're trying to, push is we all got to be complementary towards each other, right? So you got to have utility players on there. And if things don't work out, you just tell them, listen, this opportunity didn't work out. It just, maybe you should reassess of what you want to do with your career, and have that open and honest conversation within yourself. And of course, I'll give you references, but in like nefarious situations, you're just like, hey, see you later, right? You kind of sucked, and we don't need you here, and see you later. But you always have to have compassion, because, man, I've been on that other side where I've lost my job, and it's not fun, right? Like, I gave you the example when got let go from Compaq, but I mean, that was based on a merger. So a lot of business stuff goes behind some of these decisions. So
it feels like I didn't do nothing. I didn't feel that was your first time too. That was your first job, right?
Yeah.
And that must have, like, probably scratching your head. Like, it wasn't you, brother. Like, it was a merger, and that's things like that happen.
Yeah.
Right?
But when you're in it, man, it's different, right? You're
definitely.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, because I wanted to ask a couple of questions regarding quantum computing. Like, can you break it down for the, like, if you had to talk to, like, the 5th grade class, what's the definition, and what do you think it's going to be able to provide everyone in businesses?
Yeah, let's just put it this way. Quantum computing is a super duper computer that could do a lot of things at once. So you talk about AI, right? This thing is going to be flying and doing multiple things all at once. And it's not about just zeros and ones anymore, right? There's going to be like 2s and 3s in these things. So I guess another way to put it is like the current state of encryption, right? Everything's sending out sensitive information. You can encrypt that stuff, but quantum computing is going to be able to break that. So, for example, China, right? China is harvesting all this encrypted data from all these countries, and just, they can't crack it right now. But quantum computing in the next 5 to 7 years is going to be able to the current state of encryption that we have now, and that data is going to be exposed, right? So, like,
it's scary.
It is really, really scary, right? And that's where all this stuff is headed. Is there's just these ginormous systems that are just going to be moving a lot faster, and your virtual reality is going to, with Facebook and Meta coming out with their VR glasses to AI, it's just going to be moving so much faster. With you got NVIDIA, right, with these chips, so the speed is just going to pick up, and to stay up with that it's going to be very difficult to do.
It's actually like, how do you? I heard this term, like, you got to, like, especially with security, that's very, very scary. You have to fight AI with AI. Like, you almost got to have matchups, right? I mean, because it'll be a nonstop battle of, like, I'm going to break in and you're going to keep you out, like, back and forth. So, like, I don't even know what the end result will be on something like that, man.
It's like the movie Total Recall, man, right? Like, robots fighting robots. And you're kind of seeing it now with the Russia-Ukraine conflict, right? You got drones on drones, and you got the autonomous vehicles, right? All this stuff fighting each other. So that's what's happening.
So all this stuff can be used, like, cool business stuff, but it can also, bad actors, or, like, defense. You have to, like our country has to protect itself, and if not, you're going to be in a compromised situation. So it's going to get interesting. It could be really interesting. I mean, you think, like, Skynet, for real, it's crazy, brother.
It's crazy. And this is why you see the current administration, right? Which I kind of believe that they're doing the right thing with the regulatory stuff and compliance stuff that goes around AI and cyber. They're loosening that stuff up, because what happens is innovation stops, right? I mean, the DoD is so highly regulated that you cannot, these commercial companies are just, flying right by because they're the ones that are on the cutting edge of innovating and pushing all these cool things out, where this is where now the current administration is like, all right, enough. Like, we're not going to put all this regulation around it. Yeah, we need things safe, but please use your minds and go out there and just do it. Right. And that's appealing to me. And that's, again, because you have like this audit, and it's doing the same thing, but you have three different bodies asking you to do the same thing. It's like, all right, I'm in a regulatory nightmare right now, and I can't even fulfill what my customers want because I'm checking the box over here and making sure I did this and did that. Right. So
it's a full-time job, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I think the current administration right now is doing the right thing with, the regulatory environment around the AI and even cyber, right? We get it.
That basically, you tell me that, like, loosen it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. That's, yeah. Because if the other side is like nonstop, how do you keep up, right?
Yeah. Because, hey, wild. To your point, right, Cesar? Like, the threat actors, they're not playing by the same rules. They're not dealing with regulatory bodies. Right? Nope. So why should we?
No, it's all about matchups. Yeah. So let me ask you this. So give me some, I know you mentioned one of the big lesson learned there, like, but do you mind sharing a little more detail as far as, like, you mentioned you didn't plan enough or stuff like that, but was it the end of the world for you? Like, make big lesson, a big failure or that big thing that happened. Was it the end of the world? It probably felt like it, but what was the outcome after that?
It definitely felt like it. I mean, because I was in front of the board explaining how I lost data and I lost a lot of sleep. But the outcome from that is, and it's been a tremendous outcome, it's made me into a better planner and be more strategic, focused, and not always assume or trust that something should be where it should be. They always say trust, but then verify, right? Measure twice, cut once. So that's what it's made me do, is just be more strategic focus, try to look ahead and plan better for everything. Everything that I do now, it's tell my team and myself, like, all right, what's the plan? When does this have to be delivered by? And do we have a good population, meaning can we start up a proof of concept to test something out with whoever's going to be consuming this technology or this process to make sure it works, right?
That's right.
So that's what it's made me become, is just, just make sure my house is in order before, I start pushing things out.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. Like, that's a great lesson. Like, it maybe felt like the end of the world, it was stressful as hell, but like, you see those practices that you implemented after the fact is probably got you where you're at today.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's never, one of my CIOs that I just did an interview, a prep with, actually, he had a really good quote. He said, failure is never final, but success is not forever. That hit me pretty good. I was like, you know what, man, that was good. Like, cause it's not final. Like, you have opportunities, you have rounds for a reason. You could play the next day, right? You can do all that. But also, like, from a success perspective, you can't sit and be comfortable. This shit doesn't, you win the Super Bowl or you win something. Okay. That was yesterday's news, right? What about next year? So, like, you can't sit on things. You can't be complacent. That's what I took from that. So, I love something, along those lines. Like, you took all those things and you said, you know what? Implemented it.
Yeah.
And look where it got you.
Life starts at the edge of your comfort zone, man. So there's another quote for you.
The marketing team's going to go crazy with you, man. They're good. They're good at what they're doing, man. Yeah. So let me ask you, let's say, what would you give advice? Let's say I'm entering the C-suite for the first time, CIO for the first time, right? I can work my tail off. I finally got that. I got the C. What would you tell somebody if they said they would open book? Riz, I'm starting on Monday. What kind of advice would you give them?
I would say, do not promise anybody anything. They're going to be getting a lot of people in your face saying, hey, this is not working. This is not working. That's not working. And my advice would be, for the first 30 days, tell people, that external people, right? Like your peers, your CFOs, your chief HR officers, your procurement staff. Hey, I can't help you. Do not ask for me for anything. And I would do an internal assessment and talk to your team first and say, all right, guys, what are some of your pain points? What are you guys struggling with? and get a good baseline of a good gap analysis of what is working, what's not working. Because once you do that, that's where you can then start building a plan to start addressing some of the noise that you've been hearing when you walk in there. Because trust me, everyone's going to be in your ear saying, what about this? What about that? And you start trying to address all that. And that's one of the other things I learned is you're trying to like appease and like to your earlier point, you're trying to make everybody happy, right? Or make everybody like you because you're trying to solve problems. But if you start doing that, you're going to start building processes around individual people, right? Appeasing individual people.
That's
And
tough.
then you're going to burn out your team because then you're going to have 80 different solutions for 80 different people and nothing's going to be standardized, right? So that's why like focus internally first, come up with a good process, then communicate that process, and then everyone has to follow the standard, and that's it.
That's a good. That's huge.
Yeah. So that's just take your time. Again, like my other piece of advice is things were already broken when this individual walked in there, right? So they could wait. They could continue to wait till that thing gets
fixed. What? I didn't even think about that, but you're right. Like it wasn't perfect. Like, relax. They've been dealing with the same issues probably for a bit, right?
Yeah.
So you got to figure out what's going on before you start like plugging the hole. That's a good one. Anything else would you mention outside of that one?
No, and then there's from there just start coming up with after you do that, that's when you start pivoting out and then start hearing people, right? Saying, all right, what are your concerns? Hold town halls saying, hey, what's worked for you? What's not worked for you? And then really partner up with your communications team and get the technical cyber jargon out of your vocabulary and try to start connecting with people and always why, right? Address that question of why you're doing certain things and go from there.
Right.
But I think your town halls are important because that's where, you're a little bit vulnerable because you're gonna get pegged with hard, difficult questions, but it's also going to start building trust with the staff and your customers because, they're being heard. I mean, again, you don't have to resolve or find a solution at that point, but at least they're being heard. And from there, you could then start, coming up with a priority list of, okay, what are the showstoppers? What's the biggest priority? And then I think my other thing, Cesar, is you better find out from your CEO, what is the strategic plan? Then come up with your own operational plan that matches that strategic plan, because all that noise, then you could start pushing people away too, because that priority list is going to grow from top 10 to probably 30,000. Right. And you can't boil ocean. So this is what you could do is you come up with that operational plan and people are in your ear saying, hey, Riz, I need this or I need that. Whip out that operational plan and say, hey, this is aligned with the CEO strategic plan. This doesn't fall in here. So I'm sorry, I can't help you. Right.
That's a good one.
They can't come back from that.
They can't that's almost like your what do you call that? Get out of jail free card. Here, we have to be right in here. If it doesn't have anything to do with that, I'm sorry, brother.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Wow. That's a good one. That should be almost like day one.
Yeah.
Right. Like almost, I guess has everything in parallel, right? Like, let me ask you this, as far as where did you see the CIO back in the day? I used to see the CIO report to like CFOs a lot. Now I've been seeing a big transition over the last 10 years, like having more of a direct line to the CEO, like a seat at the table. When did you feel like that transition and why? Like, what's your...
Because, I report to the CEO, right? Even in my previous organization, I reported to the CEO. I see some places where, they're go through the CFO or the COO. But at the end of the day, like what we talked about earlier, Cesar, right? Like the CIOs, they're touching everything. So they're basically the neck that's making the CEO's head turn, right? From a people, process, and technology point of view. Technology costs a lot of money, and you sure enough better not invest in the wrong places. You're going to lose. You're going to be in like technology debt then. So you better have a seat at the table, because again, back to the earlier point as well, it's like you're not just pushing out tech, but you're changing people's minds and culture, and then you're going to try to change people. We're creatures of habit. Right. And you're going to then start educating and teaching people how to work differently. And that's always hard, right? But you got to do that then to drive efficiency, and then start being a little bit more resilient and working more effectively to save cost at the end of the day, right? Where every organization is driven by cost, right? So you better lower your overhead and make yourself valuable.
So that's a good one. I like you said, people, process, tech. I love that. A couple of friends of mine were saying, you know, it's been consistent. A couple of my buddies in that and CIOs that say the same thing, and they're doing pretty well. You mentioned, I got to ask you about change management, man, because I feel like that one is the toughest thing in the world. Like, how do you get like, people like, because you can implement the coolest thing in the world, develop the baddest ass process, but that change part, you could fail. The whole thing fails.
Brutal, man. Changing people's mind. I think cultural resistance to change is everything, right? Culture will eat strategy for lunch is that another quote that people say out there. So what our CEO, and I've never experienced this in the past, but our CEO here, she's friggin' brilliant. And what she did was she has a big modernization initiative here at CNA. And when I came in here 3 years ago, I mean, we had to transform a lot, but she took the heat off of me a little bit. And what she did was she has a director of business transformation that reports directly to her. And this individual is my peer. And so I have a little buffer in between me and the business where everything that we're trying to push out, or we're changing this process or that process, I go to her, and she has a working group, right? And the working group encompasses our researchers from the research divisions, right? It's a small group, and she'll meet with them and say, all right, guys, this is not a discussion. This is not up for debate that, do you think we should do this, or do you think we should do this? This is, we're doing this. What are your thoughts on it? Tell us about your pain points, or how do you think we should message this out to drive up user adoption, right? So then they feel like they're a part of what we're driving towards, right? And they have a stake in the game as well. So that's been tremendous, and we've been able to drive up, technology adoption, process adoption, and people get excited about it because now the water cooler talk is like, I'm part of that proof of concept. I'm part of this change management thing. It's not as bad as you think it's going to be. It's going to be all right. Or like, hey, it's going to suck for a little bit. But the reason why it's going to suck for a little bit is because we have to get here, and we've been here for a very long time, right? So the growing pains and all that. So
love that.
That's been tremendous. And I think if any CEOs out there, if they could take a page out of our current Dr. McGrady's CEO playbook, get a transformation officer that sits next to your CIO, because and have that person kind of be the liaison with the business and the executive staff. I mean, it's going to be game over. I mean, it's different from a chief operating officer, right? Because they're dealing with the layers down and bridging that gap with the layers up, where the chief operating officers across the board, right?
And operators, like, they're day to day, right? Like, they're dealing with that, but transformation, just you're dealing with that change, just attacking it every day and thinking about it. But I also like the way she set the tone.
Yeah.
This is not up for discussion.
Yep.
This is where the business is going. This is what's happening. So figure out the best way to roll it out, basically, right?
Yep.
Wow. That's powerful. Like, especially in this day and age, like, it's more like, well, you got to like go meet with this group, and you got to make sure that they're on board. I don't have time for that.
No.
I'm sensitive to people, don't get me wrong, but agility, if you don't have fast agility as a small business, agility should be our superpower. It shouldn't be. You got to be able to move. You got to be able to pivot, like, bob and weave, and do things quickly, right? And you don't have time to meet 8 months to get everybody's freaking approval, brother.
Dude, you've already lost, right? And to your point, like, competitors they're already, off to the races. But meanwhile, like, oh, let me go talk to the 900th person about this thing. Like, to your point, no one has time for that shit, man. Like,
I got to hang out over like a drink with you, man. We'll have a freaking field day just about these little scenarios, brother, that have me
Yeah.
cracking up today.
Like, let's do it. Let's stop talking about it. Let's actually do it,
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, and so let me ask you. So I probably know the answer, but I got to hear it, right? People that don't jump on board, like after that kind of message, what happens? I think I know the answer, but
I mean, they're going to get left behind. Honestly,
yeah,
they are, because then, their teammates are already on board, or they're going to be, the little kid in the corner that's crying over spilled milk. And it's just like, not only that, the conversation then has to be like, listen, life is changing rapidly, fast, and we're doing industry standard stuff. So if you're going to jump ship and you leave here and go somewhere else, guess what? You're going to be doing the same stuff over there that what we're trying to push out over here, right? Or the stuff we're pushing out over here, guess what? That other company is going to be pushing it out anyway. So this is the best benefit for you, because we're trying to also develop your careers, right? And educate you for continuous learning, and to make yourself more resilient and better and be more marketable. Because at the end of the day, like, I mean, I never want people to leave, right? But if they do, I mean, I'm the first one in line giving them a high five, because you've done your job to pay it forward to get them better equipped, and hopefully they're not leaving for a lateral movement. Obviously, hopefully they're going to be leaving for a step up, right? So right there, hey, done my job. I paid it forward. This person's getting a better job, better salary, right? And maybe a leadership role. High five, because hey, the last part of my career is going to be going downhill, because at that point, you're going to be calling them, right? Say, hey, can I get coffee for you? Oh, right. So that's what it's out.
Can you get me in the door? Yeah. No, you're right. I love that stuff. I like something that you mentioned that she also said. Well, you said what we're doing is like industry standard stuff. Like, this is good. Everybody's doing it. So if we're not doing it, we're going to be behind. So if they're not jumping on board, they're going to be part of the issue of holding us back. Yeah. You can't play tug of war with the business. Like, you got to move, man. It'll cripple a company, right? So that was really good, man. Sounds like she's awesome.
She's a great leader, man. Much respect to her.
Yeah. What would you say? I definitely want to ask you a little bit, double down a little bit more on cyber. So then you also were a CISO as well, right?
I was.
All right. Do you still hold that today as well?
No. I got director of cybersecurity who's under me. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm good, man. Like, I don't want to go back. Cyber's hard.
Double duty is like, I don't know about all that, right?
Yeah.
So that job, like, obviously separation of duties and all this kind of stuff like that, and security being like your has to be like an all pro defense, right? And even proactive, right? So what are some best practice stuff that you've been in both chairs, right?
Yeah.
As a CIO, how can you partner with your CISO? What are some good things that can make it even stronger together? Like, any best practices to share?
Yeah. The cyber is not a technology solution type body, right? I mean, most of cyber, I would say 80% of cyber is process and people, right? Meaning the people are driving good processes, and cybersecurity. This is the Mickey Mouse stuff, but awareness and training. It's everything, right? Be hyper vigilant, head on a swivel. So continue to communicate of some of the threats out there, from external threats to internal threats, all of that, and have some soapboxes about what's happening out there. Do your phishing campaigns, and then have a risk-based mindset, right? You can't live in a compliance check the box world, because you're going to be left behind, or you're going to be screwed, right? What's your risk appetite? Do you want to accept some of the risk, or do you want to offload some of the risk, or do you not want to accept it? Meaning, like, let's find a technology solution in this case to plug up that gap. But it's always risk-based, man. I mean, we don't have time to plug up all our low-end vulnerabilities, which are like, in the thousands. Like, no one's going to touch that. So keep it moving. But if you have a critical zero day, let's get after that vulnerability all the way down to, hey, this is a broken process. This process stinks. There's 14 different steps that may expose us for an approval process. So maybe let's shrink that down into 2. So it's always about a risk mindset, man, and that's going to actually get you better too from a business perspective too, because at the end of the day, Cesar, you know this with your own business is what's the risk you're going to take as a business owner, right? So it bleeds all the way up.
You got to be aware of them. You got to know what's going on. Because last thing, I hate to say it too, sometimes people learn the hard way. Something's got to happen, and you don't want that to be. I've seen it. I've seen people get fired, and it's hard. It's along the line too. It wasn't just, it just wasn't a CIO, but it was quite a few people over breaches. It happens. I guess it depends on, but I like what you said. It's like 80% of this stuff is process and controls, right? Yeah. You gotta be on it, and it's consistency. Do you think separating those teams is the right thing to do, right? That process, audit, and then you have your engineering stuff.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do. To your point, right? It's separation of duty. So you have your network team, but guess what? You may have network security that's on that network team, right? But your governance team is going to be probably writing the policy of, hey, what are you doing with your firewall logs? Are they being reviewed every 30 days, right? At least they're the ones that are writing the law, and then your technologists are the ones that are enforcing the law. So I would look at it that way. And then come up with a risk registry, right? What are your top 10 risks to the organization? And this is where you get your buy-in from the organization and your peers. Mm-hmm. It's not just going to be system vulnerabilities, but what other risks are out there from an operational perspective, and then put that in your risk. Yeah,
it sounds like it's also, like you said, like making sure that everybody signs off on you communicating all those different risks and let them make the decision. Yeah. But you're consultant. I mean, you're much of an internal advisor, basically.
Absolutely.
To the bids. So let me ask you this, because, obviously there's, I don't want to take, I'm getting like free consulting advice from you right now, but I'll take it. But what type of, let's say from AI solutions, what AI solutions out there? Like there's thousands every week, right? But what is out there that you're a fan of right now that you feel like they can make a good impact for us in general?
Yeah, I mean, your ChatGPT. I mean, they're OpenAI. I mean, they're leading it. They're leading that space, right? Their market value now is at what, $500 billion, and you always look at the backing, right? Because I mean, the biggest friggin' tech company is $1 trillion tech company out there that's called Microsoft, right? So anytime you can say whatever you want about Microsoft, if you hate them, you like them, or whatever, but guess what? They're the only game in town. And if the big boys like that get behind a solution like, OpenAI, get on board, because that investment's coming in at the billions and billions, and they're doing it right. So I mean, they're good. Gemini in the space it's getting up there. But they're this very competitive market space. But then you start looking at some of the niches that are out there too. It depends on like your business, right? I'm sure like the education space is kind of using their own specific, AIs in that space, to all the way to engineering, or architects are probably using their own friggin' AI, right? So yeah. But yeah, I would say, I mean, right now it is OpenAI. You can't go wrong with it, You got Perplexity out there too, right? So
a big fan.
A lot, yeah, a lot's out there.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. I've been like this. I'm a big fan. I didn't grow up as an engineer. I've been doing the staffing stuff. So I will tell you, like, I feel like AI has leveled the playing field with all these like agents and co-pilots. Like Lovable.dev is like one that I've been playing with. Like, feel like proud that I'm able to develop a website now in like 5 minutes. I don't have to be Python. I don't have to be a coder anymore. You can just know how to type English. I tell people, just lean in. It allow a company like, let's say any company, to compete. And I would say punch above its weight, fight above its weight class too. And that's huge. That's a big thing for a small business to me.
No, and Cesar, it's not scary, right? I'll tell you, AI actually provokes thought, because it's all about prompt engineering, right? So if you're going to put in a good prompt of what you want out of an AI, you better put some really good thought about it, because if you put some good thought behind it, the output of it's going to be phenomenal, right? So and it's going to make you sit and think. Right. So is it going to retire jobs? Yeah. I mean, hey, when the internet came out and the email came out, people are like, oh my God, the postal service is going out of business. Not going to have UPS. Well, guess what? They're still around. Right. It's a tool that's going to complement us to get us, again, more efficient, faster,
Like that.
more resilient. And it's going to open up other jobs, right? I mean, like, look at these young people. I can't believe like AI came out, it seems like 4 years ago. And
That's
you
it.
see kids already graduating with an AI degree. I'm like, how did that happen?
They
Right?
didn't know they were search yet. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm like, how did that curriculum happen so quickly? But now you have a degree in it, and here we are.
Yeah, we got to one up each. We got to get that degree now. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure the marketing use that one because that one hit me pretty good. AI provokes thought. And I couldn't agree. I'm going to mention this to my team next Friday. I'm having a town hall. No joke, going to be mentioning that because I personally feel it's like my ideation partner. Like, it's like, the stuff's in you. You just kind of helps you get a little faster and maybe gets you to think a little differently. And it's like, and the more you spend time with it, I feel like, it just levels up the game, in my opinion.
Yeah. And people like, oh man, like people are using it for email or writing a paper. Well, guess what? When you start rereading that email or the paper, it's going to give you some pause and it's going to make you become a better writer, right?
Absolutely.
Ultimately, right?
Absolutely, brother. I mean, this one was really good, dude. Like I love that. I mean, it's straightforward. And I think that's what they got to think of. Instead of running away from this stuff and fear, it's like, dude, this is your player. This is like your little Iron Man suit. Jump in this thing. Like, I wish I had one growing up, right? I wish I was like, sometimes when I'm using this, I was like, where was this shit 25 years ago, man?
Seriously.
I may not be working right now.
Yeah. I mean, our AI 25 years ago, Cesar, it was the encyclopedia, right? And that was our AI, man. So
it's wild, man.
Yeah.
So anything like as far as best practice for that and anything to be careful with, like, because, you have, your CIO, but you also spend time a lot in security as a user community, like anything they should be concerned with when they're using this stuff.
Yeah. Just again, like I would say if you put your cyber hat on, just be careful of, I would say just be always honest and integrity, right? Like don't just jack shit and then present it as your own, right? If you're going to do that, then you should say, hey, I cited this. I pulled some of this from AI. I put in some of my thoughts in here, but the foundational stuff is from AI. Yeah. You got to put that out there because it's going to cover your ass ultimately, right? Because if you're kind of presenting that as your entire work and then something goes wrong, right? Guess what? You're going to be screwed. So just cover your ass. Tell people, hey, I use AI for some of this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Like if I'm writing a job description, I'll say, hey man, I used AI to build some of this job description. Here are some of the common tasks that came up, but I tweaked this and this and this. Hey, sure. HR, what do you think? Right? Those types of things, because just be open and honest and integrity. So I would say, be careful of that. And then, back to like the Perplexity and some of these other AI engines, like from these other countries that are spinning up, like be careful of that, because once you start pumping your data in, these companies are taking your data and they're harvesting that data too. So just be careful of the source, right? I always say, like, you may be scared. Again, you hate Microsoft or OpenAI or Google. At the end of the day, man, these are US companies. So, jump on that train versus you going into, China or Russia and using some of those LLMs, right? Absolutely. Or you see these imaging LLMs where you could take a picture and you make yourself, into a statue or whatever, but be careful of that because they're taking your image, right? And
that's true. And you're right.
And they're saving that, right?
Especially kids having fun with it innocently. And it's like, you don't know what that could be used for.
Yeah. They're going to take your face, take your image, and then it's going to be a deep fake. And you're going to be out there doing some weird, crazy stuff and like, hey, that's not me. And then it's going to be on you to prove yourself. It's like, your identity being stolen. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But they know where I'm at all times. So if they put me out there, but that's a good one. So let's say if I had to wrap it up, let me ask you this, man. Where you're going, like what's any big bets you think, like just call it, this is the fun part, right? Like what's a big bet? Where do you see AI or something? Either I'll give you an example. Let's say the humanoid thing, or like robots, or what are some big bets you think in 2 years to 5 years? What do you see out there happen?
I was going to say quantum, but we touched on that. But some of the big bets is you just gave the preview. It's autonomous vehicles, right? Now you're going to start seeing unmanned, take the drones away, but you're going to start seeing unmanned flights that are out there. Maybe not commercial flights, but you're going to start seeing cargo flights going back and forth. Yeah. So that's probably one of my big bets. You're going to see some of these like flying taxis that they're now trying to get out there too. I mean, you already see the Waymos, right? Those cars driving around.
Certain cities, I think they're in, right? Like,
yeah, the autonomous vehicles, and then the robots, like what Elon's working on, they're going to be probably your helper, right? You're going to have a robot in your home helping you paint, maybe unpack the groceries, or doing some house chores around, like doing your laundry.
That's wild.
So that's what I see. Some of like the autonomous robots in that space, right? To help you around in the house. I mean, that's coming, right? Or
it's already like they're already working on it.
Yeah. Or the scary thing is, hey, you may have robots in here that are going to be probably babysitting your kids, right? And you have a two-way camera, right? Like they're going to be looking at your kids, and while your mom and dad may be out at dinner, right? And then you're going to have your app.
Wow.
Watch your kids. So that may happen, right? So look out. I think the robots and the autonomous stuff that's coming out, that's going to be huge, and it's going to take off.
Yeah. One thing that I definitely, I'm agreeing with you 1,000% on that. I said definitely happening. One thing that's kind of keeps me up at night about that is like the bad actors. And if they crack into one of those things, that's some scary thing. Watching the kid, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot can happen there.
It can. And it's another good point too, is, traditional cyber is always around computers and stuff like that, right? And you kind of see it a little bit in the healthcare space, where you have some of these robotic surgical arms, right, or medical devices that are out there that are being hacked into, because those manufacturers are not really good at patching their devices, right? So I would think of like a robot or an autonomous vehicle, put them in a device category.
You're right.
Those developers better step up their game and make sure like those things are patched, because to your point, it's some scary shit, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just saw a movie the other day. I was like, oh, you ever see this? It's called Afraid. It's in the word Afraid is AI. I was like, I don't know if you watched it yet, but that had me like thinking about like robots or AI in the house.
Yeah.
It was taking control of a lot of different things. And I'm like, that's scary. That could be really, really scary. And I've seen some videos on some things, I think in Japan or China, like some of these robots are like incredibly agile, like running.
They learn.
Like
they're learning too, right?
It's crazy.
So, yeah.
I'm like, I see definitely maybe a robot like, boxing events. Like that movie, I forgot which one it was. It's I forgot, Robo Fight or something. It was like two big robots. They go at it, and it was like a whole like it replaced basically boxing. And it was robots versus robots, people controlling it. I could see something like that.
I mean, look at this. Like we got like the keyless entry in your house, right? So you get hacked into, lock yourself in the house, and like turn on the gas, right? And that's all possible. It's all possible. So
if you had to, something else, I want to like, as we wrap up and kind of leave with that is, in this business, like just overall, like you've been in the game for a while, man. And, you're, awesome to hang out with, man. You build relationships. I love that your North Star is always going to be about being around good people. Right. And I like that because, everybody maybe expects some like another like technical solution. It's like, if it comes down to it, your North Star is like, do the right thing, be good people. Right. What other advice would you give the community? Subscriber base over here. It's mostly comprised of IT leaders, mostly. I would definitely say a lot of grads are coming in because they want to hear like leaders speak about what to do. What are some gotchas? Anything you want to leave them with?
Yeah, I would say just keep it simple, man. The KISS principle, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Get that technical jargon out and just talk to people at a human level. And that's where you're going to start, getting a lot more engagement. Is just don't be reading shit out of the book and trying to like geek people out, right? And trying to show off your technical chops. Is no one cares, right? At the end of the day, no one's keeping score. So keep things simple, keep things in front of you, right? And if you don't know something, again, like just say you don't know it and you want to learn about it, and try to keep the bullshit out.
I love that.
Yeah, I had the intern here, I think last summer, right? And this person started bullshitting me. I had to pull him aside. I'm like, listen, man, don't bullshit me. And that really straightened them out, because it's like these kids are really smart coming out. I mean, they're next level smart. So I
I
had
feel
to
like they've
kind
been
of,
doing it longer, right? Like they've been
yeah,
getting their hands on the tech a lot earlier than me and you were, like, if you think about
right.
it, right?
Yeah.
Just like athletes today, these kids are coming out like it's insane at 16 years old what they're able to do.
Yep. And to that point, Cesar, I guess the takeaway is like, put that tech down. If you're at lunch with somebody, look at somebody in the friggin' eye and have a conversation for an hour versus continuing to look down on your phone. Pay attention, right? Give them that respect and be present in those settings, and stop looking at your phone, because all that stuff is going to be there. And again, no one is going to remember. It's too much information these days. And you continue to look down, look down, look down. You're going to be missing things that are going on right in front of you.
I couldn't agree with you more on being present, brother. Like,
Yeah.
I go to restaurants, I see like
Everyone down.
young couples,
Right.
like scrolling. I'm like, dude, aren't you guys hanging out together or something like that?
Yeah.
That wouldn't exist back in the day when we were coming up.
Yeah.
It was different.
Yeah.
You get your hand slapped pretty good if that happened.
Yeah. And then you see all the problems in society, right? People can't talk to one another because everyone's hiding behind a device.
Oh,
right?
no, I know.
Yeah.
It's a different time today, brother. Look, brother, I can't thank you enough, man, for being on here,
Thanks,
man.
Cesar.
And
Yeah, this is great, man. Thank you.
you keep it real, you're authentic about it, and you make things simple. You explain things where I feel like people that are not in IT and the jargon and all that stuff, like you kind of like put that hat down. I bet you can flex when you want to, right? Right? Because you probably want to say it now because you're humble about shit, but that's fine. But you flexed when you need to, but you try to keep everybody real. And it's been, honestly, since the first time I've talked to you, man, I even told my family, my wife about it. I was like, I can hang out with this dude, man. He's badass. He needs to come down here to South Florida and visit us.
And I will, Cesar, because the feeling is 1000% mutual, brother.
Appreciate that.
Connected to you, man, and just good dude, good peoples, and want to keep you in my life for a long, long time.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you for this, man. It means a lot. I'll be talking to you soon.
Likewise.